I haven't been on here for so long. I can't even figure out what the hell I'm doing. To be honest, it's nuts. I don't even know if people hear me. I know I hear myself in my ears, but it might not be for everyone. Welcome to the Tempest Universe podcast. It's been a few months. I think the last time I did a podcast was like in December sometime, something like that. Almost 4 months or shit. No, actually, damn, almost 6 months. But anyway, I'm back today. Just look at my beautiful layout, stuff I've been up to. Little fancy stuff here and there. There's my boy, the alien, over there in the middle. But I don't know. A lot of stuff has been happening. So I figure I'd come on here and start some shit. It's what I do. With me, I've got the one and only Green Man.
Hey, hello.
What's going on?
Oh, not too much. How about you, man?
I don't know. I wouldn't even know why I'm on here, to be honest. But I have this thing about disclosure and everything that's happening right now, which is pretty cool, to be honest. I'm kind of excited, not excited about it, all at the same time. So I don't know. Like I said, I'm a little confused. What about you?
Oh, dude, it's just life, same, dealing with same shit. Insurance company, doctors.
You've been lifing.
Yeah, I've been lifing and dealing with the insurance companies and doctors and all that crap.
Yeah, those are always the best.
Oh yeah. But
They're never in it for the patient. Never.
Yeah, very rarely. But I like that the last acupuncturist that I saw and the new spine surgeon that I got sent to. The acupuncturist dude single-handedly helped me more than anybody else in the last 3 years with one visit. Dude, she is awesome. And then the surgeon they got me down to, the last guy, fucking joker, 9 months of going to his office, seeing an undersurgeon of his, and finally see him, and he's making cracks about my limp as I'm walking in when he's supposed to be fixing my limp. And it could never even give me, do the whole time. The lawyers are like, yeah, dude, we just, we need to hear from this doctor, see what he says. And you just holding everything up. And I one visit with this guy, 20 minutes, the new doctor, 1 minute, or one visit, 20 minutes, dude. And it was like, yeah, this is your situation, man. Yeah. You need this. You're definitely an option for this and that and blah, blah, blah. So there's sun in the clouds. So to speak.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I mean, something positive has to happen, right? And I don't know. To me, having an undersurgeon, it's a problem.
Well, yeah. When you're assigned to one doctor and for, like I said, 9 months, you see a completely different guy. And
they just make shit up as they go along, I'm telling you.
Yeah. There's some good ones out there, but there are a lot of ones that, just seem like they're just more interested in, a Mercedes payment or, another vacation to Europe or something. So
yeah. But talking about that, let's talk about Immaculate. What I like to call Immaculate Constipation, because ufology has been a constipation, literally.
Yeah.
All these whistleblowers, all this great information, and literally it has gone nowhere fast.
Pretty much.
Yeah. And you would think it would be the opposite. But recently, Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp on Weaponized had a particular person that was involved with the Immaculate Constellation server deal that is held by the Pentagon, a secret internal internet, which is, when you think about it, why wouldn't they have an internal internet and no one can access from the outside?
Well, I mean, you would imagine a government would have its own secured system, right?
Yeah. I don't see the big deal about this, but unfortunately, I like the guy. I like the whistleblower. I don't know why he took a year to come out, but I'm sure there was some things he had to deal with.
Yeah, you got to think about that stuff. There's some scary threats sometimes that come with.
Yeah. So I've got queued up the interview that Jeremy Corbell did on News Nation regarding the whistleblower. I think his name is Howard Brown, And actually, if you go to the Jeremy Corbell's YouTube channel, you'll be able to see the complete. Well, not even. It's in three parts. You can see the first part of the interview with Howard Brown, which after this, let's see what Jeremy has to tell News Nation about Howard, and we'll chat about it in a second.
Joining us now is investigative journalist and co-host of the Weaponized podcast, Jeremy Corbell. Jeremy, great to have you back to the show. So you've known Matthew Brown a long time. You actually even brought him into a secret meeting with members of Congress before ImCon was ever publicly revealed. When did this all begin? How did you first meet him?
Yeah, this started a long time.
Well, I've been calling him Howard the whole time.
Fact checking.
All right, fact checks. He got me. Here we go.
News Nation, they're okay.
Yeah.
Ago, as you know, like George Knapp and I, when we work on bringing whistleblowers forward, first thing is protect them, even if they don't protect themselves, and get them heard through the proper channels. So Matthew Brown, you're right. I did bring him into multiple meetings with members before the word was ever uttered publicly, but the point of doing that was to get him vetted and heard so that he could testify to the American public, because that is ultimately what people want. They want to hear what's going on, and he discovered so many things that the public has yet to hear, and that's why we started releasing that testimony now, because he didn't end up testifying at the last hearing, if you recall.
Why didn't he?
Yeah, it's a good question. The last hearing was a little bit bizarre, and I'm really hoping this changes. I know that Representative Luna and Burchett and Burleson, they're working really hard to make sure you hear from firsthand direct whistleblowers this time. I mean, you ask, like, why didn't he last time? He's been willing as an American patriot to come forward and put it all on the line. This is not something that is taken lightly. When you come forward and you expose a program like Immaculate Constellation, which, by the way, for our audience, just to be very clear, it was an intelligence and reconnaissance unacknowledged special access program that focused on collecting footage of UAP and reproduction vehicles from diverse, weaponized, and militarized observation platforms.
The important thing there is, like we said right before this, I mean, why wouldn't they have this? I don't know why this is a shock or why it's a big deal, to be honest.
Well, you know, they got all kinds of damn things they never talk about. Same thing we always talk about.
Yeah, when you look at what Russia and China does, I mean, you would want to have a server that shouldn't be reached by anyone from the outside. I'm okay with that.
Yes, that would be a very good idea, especially if you're a sovereign nation, you're your own entity, and you don't need outside countries fucking with your shit. That causes problems.
Yeah, the big thing for me is that this Howard guy, if you look at the interview that he had on Weaponized, he seemed like a pretty normal guy. I mean, these days you don't know what the fuck normal is. Normal is not normal. But still, he seemed really humble, and he seemed really like he wanted to kind of come out and say this is what he found, but not. I guess he wasn't saying, "Hey, I'm not going to say A, B, and C because of I don't want people to come after me, or I don't want to lose my title, my clearances." He didn't say any of that.
No. I don't know, but and then you got a bunch of whistleblowers all popping up right now too.
Yeah, but unlike this guy really, like, a lot of them don't want to say much because they're afraid of this and they're afraid of that. This guy, not so much. He wasn't really on that vibe of I'm gonna protect myself first. I'm gonna give you a couple of little niblets, but I'm going to protect myself first.
Yeah. Do you ever watch Tim Pool?
No.
Okay, because he's also into the aliens and stuff like that, and usually talks about whenever there's a whistleblower, the same, conference hearings and all that shit, committees and all that crap. He stays on top, and he's actually one of the cool things that the White House is doing now is with the press is they're letting in a lot more independent, like online sources, and he actually got a couple interviews with some of the administration and was talking to one guy and brought it up. And the guy was like, well, I've seen videos of, and videos of things coming out in and out of the water like they're nothing, like it wasn't even there. And so Tim's like, wait a minute. And he starts thinking, he's like, wait a minute, we haven't seen any of those yet, so those are still out there to be found. And this guy's kind of leaking a little bit of info about the videos that he's seen. So dude, they know something. I think it's it might be getting close finally, because it's hard to say, man. It's like it's like been like this for the last 20 years. It's like just when you think you're going to get the whole pie, you get a little flake of crust or something.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens. There's 2 more interviews left. It got divided into 3, but there's 2 more pieces of this puzzle for Matthew Brown and Immaculate Constellation, and we'll see what else he's got to say. Now, there was one video regarding UFOs going into the ocean, and that was one that was captured by a military. I guess it was a.
Probably fighters.
No, it was a boat. I forgot what kind of boat it was, what class it was. But that was a video that Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp had released on Weaponized last year sometime, and they showed the UFO going into the water, splashed down, and of course they came back and said that was a drone that splashed down into the water. But that was about a year ago that actually came out. So, but I'm sure there's plenty more out there that we don't know of, and they've been, hidden in Immaculate Constellation. Probably, they're on that server. But like I said, the only reason I'm bringing this up is because there are a lot of people saying, "Well, disclosure this and disclosure that." For fuck's sake, we've had disclosure. It literally has happened already. It's just no one really gives a shit about it. Everyone's just worried about, having aliens come onto the front lawn of the White House, and that's going to be your disclosure. Or they take over TV, or they show up at some marching event. Maybe they'll show up, at the burial of the Pope. I don't know. Maybe they'll show up over there and pay their last respects or something like that. Who knows? I don't understand.
No. I don't know.
So recently, we also had one of these things happen. Eric Davis, who is a physicist who has been part of a lot of the recent things that have to do with ufology going back a few decades. There was it wasn't really a hearing. It was more like a committee meeting in which not only did he say that we've been messing with UFOs since Dwight Eisenhower's presidency, but on top of that, he says, hey, guess what? There's 4 different species that we've been interacting with. I mean, what more could you ask for? Someone from the government is literally telling you at a televised, through the internet, through social media, at a meeting about UFOs, ufology, and what they call UAPs, that there are 4 different species coming to the planet. Do you really need anything more than that? What else do we need to say, okay, this has been disclosed to us?
Well, Eisenhower, Area 51 was set up during Eisenhower's administration. The CIA kicked Eisenhower off of the base at one point after a couple of years after its development. So the timeline seems right. And have you heard some of the? Did you hear that it was part of one of the press conferences that they gave lately, and they were talking about tech that we had now, and they said somebody said that we now have tech that like smashes distance and we can manipulate time and all that shit.
Yeah, I did hear about that. Especially the time part is the one that kind of drove people bananas. Manipulating time. Is it possible? Yeah. There was somebody else who was talking about this and said it's almost, actually, it might have been Matthew that said it, Matthew Brown, during his interview with Corbell and Knapp, that he said it's either that we have this technology or that we are living in a completely separate reality from what's going on. And you can see that, right? I mean, we don't know anything about time manipulation. We don't know anything about deep space travel or anything like that. Yeah. So he's kind of alluding to the idea that from what he's seeing is like there's two different realities on this planet. One of it that you and I are living and, you know, fighting and suffering day by day, trying to make it. And yet there's indications that there's another reality that is so advanced that would make our head spin if we saw it.
Yeah. And then there's a third reality that some of the weirdos live in as well. So
yeah,
we expand.
Yeah, unfortunately, most of them are in our reality, and not in the high tech reality.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that's a better thing. But it's from what, dude. If they have been sitting on this stuff for shit, it's what. It's 40, late 40s, I don't know, 60, 80 years now that they've been working on this stuff. I mean, they should have, at least come to some pretty damn good reverse engineering conclusions by now on how to do at least a fair portion of some of this stuff.
Yeah,
because it's a lot easier to figure something out when you've got an example in your hands.
Yeah, and then who was it? And actually, they were saying that somebody else kind of agreed with Grush's statement that he made in front of Congress, and that the initial was not Roswell or anything else in New Mexico, but it happened back in Italy in the 1930s. Was the first time that the U.S. got involved with the UAP situation. But who knows? And I'm sure, when the time comes, there'll be more than just Italy and everything else. They'll be everywhere, pretty prolific.
I think the old story about the Nazis finding something was back in 1938, I think, if I remember right. So, out in the 1930s in Europe, if we did, it's a timeline would match for both at least.
Yeah, that would make total sense.
Yeah,
complete sense. Now, I recently watched. Have you ever watched the show with Chris Ramsey, Area 52?
I've seen. I haven't watched it yet, but I've seen like the thumbnails for it.
Yeah, so that's actually one of the shows I get kind of hooked up because it reminds me of me when I first started into all of this. I was so enthusiastic. I was reading everything, trying to watch everything. Not so much anymore, but still, Chris Ramsey's like that, and he's got a nice setup. He recently had Whitley Strieber, which is the grandfather of everyone that's been abducted on the planet.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
What I love about Whitley is...
a probe.
Yeah. Actually, in this interview, he kind of talks about people saying that he was being anally probed. But this interview is pretty long. It's 2.5 hours. And he talked about his new book and all the other books, which I pretty much got them all through Audible. And the great thing about Whitley is that he reads his own books to you on Audible. So he always has that emotion behind it. Like you feel the words, basically.
Yeah. Hearing it more directly how he wrote it because and the emotions he went through, because you could hear it how he reads it. So one thing that struck me about Whitley is that, number one, he was talking about Jake Roberts. Wait, is that right? Is it Jake Roberts? Jake the Snake Roberts?
No. Wait. I'm not crazy. Let me just look this up here.
That was Jake the Snake Roberts.
Which is the guy that just came out. Of course, Jake the Snake just came up.
No. Jake the Snake.
Anyway, it's the guy that is doing all the UFO stuff right now, calling down UAPs and stuff like that. That guy. Wow, why does it say Jake? Is it Jake Roberts? Here's the interview that he did.
Maybe he's junior,
No, it's funny because I always think Jake Roberts. I always think about Jake the Snake.
Well, you can't wrestle forever.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jake Barber.
Okay.
Thinking about Jake the Snake. That's funny. Anyway, so this is, I don't know if you've seen, have you seen Jake Roberts at all? He,
No. I don't
here
think
he is with, so you haven't heard about his whole program. So basically, okay, so I did post a picture of that egg-shaped UFO at one time. And so in that, he said he was part of a program that retrieves advanced, vehicles and stuff like that. And also, well, yeah, I just screwed that up because now it's gone. There he is. So he does that, and he also recovered UAPs, basically, as part of a government program. But Jake had an experience with this one UAP where he felt there was a kind of like a how would I say? It was like a female presence, almost like a kind of godly presence that told him to chill out, be calm. They're not here to harm us and stuff like that. Well, Whitley Strieber, during the interview with Chris Ramsey, said that, hey, it's possible that was part of the weapon, basically. That they, ETs, they manipulate us. And in that manipulation, they give you whatever is going to make you feel calm and not as aggressive. And so that is why this particular vehicle kind of transmitted that to him, to calm him down and reduce the aggression that he had initially against his vehicle, which is really interesting that Whitley Strieber is actually commenting on things that are happening now. And this particular crew that he has, and I forget the name of it, but they created something called a dog whistle, which actually
I have heard of that. My buddy from work was telling me about that. Yeah, there's kind of like a Blackwater type company that's like a private military.
Yes,
that they've developed this damn thing and sent me videos of it. I want one of those things. That's better than the fucking Greer's fucking app, man. Hell yeah.
Yeah, and it's weird. First of all, I don't understand why they call it a dog whistle. As an alien, I'd be pretty offended by that. So there would be some alien probing everywhere going on every time you blew that shit. There was another thing that
for it.
yeah, right. Oh, they probably look forward to it. Yeah. The other thing that he mentioned too is it's very possible that what they're seeing, and I could see this actually, that these might be entities that live in our atmosphere, upper atmosphere that we're not aware of. Now, you say not all of these, but some of these could possibly be some of that Jake Barber and his crew is actually picking up. What do you think about that?
Could be. I don't know. Upper atmosphere. I mean, remember there is what's it called? The Dark Knight.
Yes,
that
the Dark Knight.
It's still floating around up there. That it's like you hear about it every once in a while, but nobody ever says anything that they know what the fuck it is. And could be. I mean, maybe that's kind of like their satellite or their kind of observation device is just keeping an eye on us.
Yeah, it's fascinating to think that it's possible, right? That there could be possibly biological entities that live in our upper atmosphere that we have no clue of, which it's possible. We don't even know what the hell is in most of the ocean. Why wouldn't we know what's in most of the upper stratosphere, atmosphere, or whatever? That might look to us like UAPs or UFOs.
No.
So it's interesting. So I don't know. So Jake Barber and his crew is supposed to be releasing few more videos of the dog whistle in action and things like that. And I think in his last episode, he did mention that certain scientists and agencies, of course, the government's going to get involved, are looking to kind of be a witness to the dog whistle and what it can do as far as UAPs.
Yeah. Oh shit. Yeah. I got to go through and watch that that full clip that my friend sent me. But yeah, he said he was watching it and it was nuts.
Yeah,
Well,
he's an interesting guy. He's
yeah.
he is a fascinating guy, Jake Barber and the crew. But yeah, they've got a few episodes. They actually have a UAP channel, a YouTube channel that covers a lot of what they're doing, and they recently released videos that categorizes the UAPs that they're finding with the dog whistle into different types. So it's more than just one.
See, at first I'm rethinking because I want one, but I'm thinking if they sell those things to the fucking public, everybody and their mom's gonna be standing out in their fucking driveway 24/7 whistling that thing. Before too long, they're either gonna get fed up and it's not gonna work anymore, or they're just gonna start zapping people, thinking just leave us the fuck alone. So,
Absolutely. I just wonder how long it'll take before that happens to Jake Barber's team.
oh,
You know, they're bound to have an incident. They did on the videos. They did talk about one time where one of their helicopters was actually pushed back. They couldn't go forward anymore. It was pushed back from. They were trying to kind of make contact and chase after one of these UAPs that they called down with a dog whistle, and they were kept at a distance.
Well, you remember hearing that story that came out about the Russians, right? Recently, about that there was like a crew of Russian soldiers that decided to. I always heard the story, years before, but then there was another one of the whistleblowers that came out and said, I think somebody found it in some of the. I think it was mixed in somewhere. They said it was mixed in somewhere with some of the Kennedy files. And it was included in there that they had Russian crew took a couple shots with anti-aircraft artillery at a alien ship, brought it down. The aliens came out, like 4 or 5 of them, formed like some kind of like Voltron type being, and like turned everything that wasn't hiding behind something into concrete or limestone.
Oh, it turned them to stone. Yeah, I remember that.
Turned them all to limestone, and then they said they even took the bodies back and analyzed what was left of the bodies, and they said it like most closely resembled limestone.
Yeah, I mean, all these guys can't be, gumdrops and jelly beans. Eventually you fuck around too much, FAFO, fuck around and find out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're going to piss somebody off. Nest. Yeah, that makes total sense. Even that was one of the conversations that happened in that Area 52 episode of Willie Strieber, when he talks about that they really, and to me, it almost kind of makes sense that they are kind of, the reason why they haven't attacked us is because they're here for a reason. They're looking to kind of make good or make friends with humanity because they know what's going to happen. And he said that, and I've heard this before, when people ask why is it they're so advanced that all their aircraft crash, and according to him, and he's heard this from people like Garmin, they don't all crash. Some of them are left as gifts for us to reverse engineer. That makes total sense to me. Complete sense. Jason says, I want to see the craft and an alien. I feel like the alien is going to be the last thing you see. The craft is all over the place. But the alien, I don't know. I think seeing an alien in real life, it's going to raise so much doubt in people.
Yeah, I think that's going to, even still, I think that's going to mess a lot of people up.
Yeah, I think so too. I think a lot of people will have a really hard time dealing with that. Not as much as maybe a nuts and bolt alien craft, which is a little bit easier. But if you were to see ET in real life, that could be some issue.
Yeah, because I mean, a craft just sitting there, that's not really doing anything. It's not like, it's strange. It's different, but it's not. Until you see it do something unbelievable, then it's less likely to kind of scare people. It's just kind of like seeing some kind of weird prototype car or something like that driving around on the road, or parked in it's like, people are going to stop looking at it, but it's not going to really be too crazy until that car.
Exactly.
Then people are going to really be, what the fuck? So, yeah, they've got so many psyops and all this shit going on right now, and messing with people's heads and pulling everybody in so many different directions. That's why I think a lot of this stuff isn't really getting paid attention to, because you got so many problems politically, or this group that, or that group this, and this country's fighting, and so and so's bombing them, and they got us so occupied with what's on the ground, we're not looking up.
Yeah, it's a distraction of being human.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's forever going on, and it's hard to stop with your everyday business and everything that's happening on the planet to stop and say, "Oh, there goes ET," or "There goes that craft. What is that in the sky?" There's just no time to look up. There really isn't.
Well, dude, it's like, man, there's a lot more like mental issues, I think, developing now, especially around like technology. You got people that can't like be away from their phone for more than 5 minutes without having panic attacks. You drive down the street, man, you've always got, some chick in an outfit, 1,000 different shots of herself out in the middle of the fucking street, stopping traffic, or some fucking stupid thing like that. You've got, it's the narcissism is just outrageous, and everybody's got some cause to take offense for, and they're not really paying attention to the bigger things.
Yeah, that's why I say, disclosure. It's out. How many different people, or how many different books you got to read? How many different interviews? These are all. The majority are people in government who've been involved in these programs, who've contributed to them, who say, "Oh, I can't say anything because Dobster hasn't cleared me." Well, the reason they didn't clear you is because they don't want you to be direct about it. They want you to beat around the bush, because if you took the totality of everyone that we've heard from since 2017, don't even think about the people we've been hearing from since before then. Because look at all these people that went to all these, these hearings, these public hearings, citizens for disclosure and all that kind of bullshit. And all these people that say someone like Greer has brought out, which are still talking now, the majority of them. But look at all the people now who have been in all these current programs, not from way back when, but have had these experiences, and people are just not paying attention. How could you not? Unless you just didn't want to.
Yeah, or they just want to believe, one side or the other doesn't want to believe. I quite honestly, I think if fucking Trump walked out into the press conference room in the White House with a fucking alien at his side and said, "Hey, yeah, this is Bob."
Yeah.
And, the little dude fucking like waved his hand and the fucking, paper started flying around the office or some damn thing. They still say, "Oh, you see a new publicity stunt that Trump pulled, fake alien, blah, blah, blah," and all that.
Exactly. Shit, Yep. I believe it. I believe it. I think, what's it going to take? I don't know.
It's going to take like individual, like in their face encounters for a lot of people to really believe it.
Yeah. And honestly, I think more people have had abduction type experiences than they know. I think it's a lot more prevalent. I think it's happened a lot. I think they have more of a control of our human condition that we'd like to believe. And maybe that's why people are ignoring it, because they're programmed.
Yeah. And, I wouldn't be surprised if, some of the alphabet agencies were in cahoots with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And really, that's the reason why I had this episode, just because I kind of just, I don't understand why people are just not accepting it, or just, it's not even accepting, they're just ignoring it. God, there's so much out there, so much more than what we had before. And it just seems like I don't know. Is it on purpose? I don't know. I think people just don't want to hear it. And a lot of people that I ask now that, have you seen this? Did you hear this? Did they, they said this, this happened. They're like, it's weird how one of the responses is always, but what about God? What? What do you mean, what about God?
Well, yeah, I have a lot of friends that are religious, and I always, I had spiritual myself. I always, give them more credit than, what we give them credit for. I mean, create a whole universe and create us and the planet and everything. Why can't he? Why just limit him to one place?
Right. And that would be kind of like the logic behind it. If this is created the heaven, the earth, the universe, all the planets, all the stars, why would these little gray guys just happen to sneak in from where? Where did they come from if they didn't come under the same creation? It's weird. I just don't understand. Like you don't have to suspend your belief in religion or whatever guides you just to accept that maybe something's going on outside of the norm.
Yeah, it's not necessarily that the story is wrong. There's just parts of the story that we don't know.
Yeah. It's just strange. It's just weird for me. But
So-
we'll see. We'll see where this goes. I still don't see people really accepting it for another 10 years in general.
Probably. Yeah, we're
Maybe.
so caught up with all kinds of stupid shit that.
Yeah. Maybe old Trumpy.
See,
I mean, initially he sounded like he wanted to do something about it, but
yeah. Well, yeah, he's got a long list of stuff he's going through. So.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we'll see. He's got 3.5 more years, almost 3.5.
Yeah, because shit, we're only like a little over 100 days in. So.
Mm-hmm. So we'll see. Maybe someone like Eric Trump will get him to just bring all these whistleblowers forward and have a big news conference with all of them.
Because I mean, I know it was on the list with JFK and the Epstein stuff and UFOs. That was all part of the list, but hopefully we get some movement on that. So it seems like they're kind of with all the whistleblower stuff. Maybe it's kind of starting to.
I think so.
The works.
But I think what happened is the New Jersey stuff kind of threw him off the rails.
Yeah, See that? I think that was another psyop in itself.
Mm-hmm.
Because, dude, so close to election time and all that shit.
And it's still going on. These things are still up there doing their thing. What kind of a test is that? How long is it really going to take for whatever they're doing? If it's really drones.
Yeah. 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 Figure. Yeah. What would they need? What would they need the drones for that to do? I mean, that's not like they need it for like mapping or anything. Shit, Google's got all those fucking cars driving around 24/7 now. So, and that's all pretty good, 3D-ish imaging. So, yeah, what do they really need to be doing?
It's all weird. It doesn't make sense. And even there was a report last week that they're still going over military bases with impunity. They're not even defending themselves or taking any of them down, which is another weird thing. That doesn't make sense to me at all.
Yeah. That's violating airspace. They usually take stuff like that pretty serious.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's a strange time, I guess. Very strange. But hopefully, these next few whistleblowers make a dent in this, and we can move on and kind of realize some of the truth, whatever it is.
It'd be nice. It'd be nice for a change. But yeah, I don't know. I have a little bit more hope now than before. We'll see.
In some ways, I do too. For a moment there, after Lou Elizondo came out, I was like, this is all a bunch of bullshit.
Bad.
Yeah, a bunch of crock of shit.
But yeah, I think we've got, the hopes for more transparency, in the administration now with things. So, yeah, 5% more hope that we might get something juicy and actually.
Absolutely. Well, that was everything that I had to cover in this particular episode because, it was impromptu thanks to Matthew Brown, not Howard Brown. So thanks, Matthew, for coming forward on this Immaculate Constipation.
Speaking on the topics of alien invasion, I started watching this new show on Netflix. It's, I'm going to mispronounce it. The Eternaut or something like that. And it's a series that just started up from I believe Argentina.
Okay.
And dude, it's pretty good. It starts out with like an EMP, and then this snow that if anybody goes out into, they die, and so they're think some kind of natural or solar occurrence or something like that's going on, but they're saying all these big ass flaming meteors, after the first couple hours of all this stuff going on, and the guy ventures out, covers up and ventures out into the snow to go find his wife or whatever, and it starts, and it gets cool, but it ends up being an alien invasion, and there's all these giant fucking bugs and stuff going around. It's pretty. I don't want to ruin it for you, but it's pretty good.
So you say it's filmed by a company in Argentina?
I'm pretty sure it's an Argentina movie or series, and it's like the first series came out, and dude, it's like the Eternaut or something like that, but it's pretty good.
Yeah, I gotta check it out. I mean, that's the other thing, right? So we also have all these alien movies, and the theory is that's there to condition us. But there's also 2 documentaries that are supposed to be coming out pretty soon. Like The Age of Disclosure is one, which was previewed out here in South by Southwest a couple months ago. And it's by the director of, Ready Player One.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. And so apparently they're waiting to get this out on Netflix or, get it released in the theaters. One of those. Either way, it should be this summer that it comes out for the normal public. And then there's Project Gravitas, the Bob Lazar, Area 51, Area 53, S4.
Yeah.
So many fucking numbers. S4. And which is pretty cool because the movie is done in 3D, kind of showing everything from Bob's perspective of what he saw. Cool. And he kind of guided them through how to build the models and the rooms and everything that was part of S4. So that would be an interesting insight into what he saw.
Yeah, I've seen previews and clips of that one. That one I definitely want to see.
Yeah, that should be fantastic. Another thing that was interesting about Whitley Strieber, like Chris Ramsey actually asked him about Bob Lazar and what he thought about that. And it's weird to see Whitley Strieber sometimes not agreeing that someone is an actual experiencer. But he seems to be on the fence about Bob Lazar and whether or not he really was at S4 and had those experiences with those ships.
That's weird because, dude, I know Whitley and Art Bell were good friends. And so, for the most part, I think, at least Lazar was, on good terms and friendly with, Bell. It's kind of weird that it would kind of like discount him like that, especially since I know, pretty sure Art believed, pretty serious in good old United Nuclear guy.
Yeah, Bob Lazar. I don't know. I guess there's something about the way Bob Lazar came out, or maybe his nerdy look. I don't know. It just a lot of people didn't believe him. Well, which is weird because he never didn't seem like he wasn't serious about what he was saying, or he himself didn't believe, or he didn't have any conviction behind what he was saying. But I mean, early on, people just didn't gravitate to him.
Well, I don't know. Some did. A lot did. Some didn't. But I mean, obviously, dude, from the looks of them, what do you expect like a nuclear physicist to fucking look like? Some dorky looking dude with glasses. Someone like me. I'm not a nuclear physicist, but I fucking watch a lot of reactor videos and fucking meltdown videos. So, dude, would you be more surprised by Bob Lazar coming out with all this technical stuff, or somebody that looks like the football star coming out? No offense to football stars. I'm sure there's smart football stars out there as well, but stereotypical by looks. Does it really surprise you that somebody like Bob Lazar said, yeah, I've got a nuclear reactor on this, and I've got a particle accelerator in my bedroom, and here's my jet car.
Yeah.
Okay,
you think the jet car would sell it?
Yeah, you probably at least know a few things maybe I should listen to.
But you almost could say that by any whistleblower that comes out. They all seem to have, people that absolutely just go to bat for them. And then there's the other half that really don't give a shit about them because they think they're liars. And they're making stuff up just to be famous.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think at the end of the day, they all have something about their story that's absolutely true. And we're humans. We kind of fuck our stories up as we go along.
Yeah, even in the craziest fishtail, there's a little bit of truth.
Yeah, I agree totally. But those are the two documentaries that I'm waiting to come out, and I think they're both going to be great things to watch.
Should be good.
Yeah. So that's all I got. Anything else from you, Green Man? Any last stories or last words?
Oh, no, I don't think so.
Well, we did have one person that was coming up. Maybe we can catch him the next time.
Yeah. I heard from him. He's got a freaking mad headache. I know he's been having some tooth stuff, so he's probably got a monster tooth headache right now. So
yeah, teeth, they're terrible.
Yeah, more doctors.
Yeah, exactly. I've got one more comment before we leave. Hey, thank you, Jason, for being on with us. We appreciate it. Hopefully, we'll be a bit more, I don't know, more episodes coming. Hopefully. Yes. We'll see. It might be fun. Or we could regress to a complete nothingness on Tempest Universe. And I'll see you in 6 months. Just kidding.
No. I bug you too much for that.
Yeah, no, we're going to stay on top of it. I mean, it won't be like it used to be, 2-3 episodes a week. But we are going to try our best to stay on top of this because there's a lot of good things out there, a lot of things happening. And like I said, these documentaries are going to be eye-opening. And maybe we need to do our part to share it.
Yeah.
That's all for me. Green Man, thank you for joining.
Thank you for having me.
Ciao.